He's hiring us to capture his lifetime moment, capture his love, right? I think doesn't matter if it's 300 people or doesn't matter if it's 10 people there. That's really important to capture, make sure he has a professional there to capture that love.
What are the questions you should be asking a photographer before you hire them for your big wedding day? In this episode of Wedding Checklist Now, I sit down with Karm from Creative Cams Photography, and we talk about everything when it comes to photography in a post-pandemic world, the questions you should be asking a photographer before you hire them, tips and tricks for your big wedding day. So if this sounds like you, if you're someone planning a big day coming up, you're gonna want to check out this episode. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe, because the entire point of Wedding Checklist Now is to bring you tips, tricks, and even wedding checklists for your big day so you can have the day of your dreams on time and on budget. Let's get to Karm right after this.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. And I have the absolute pleasure to be your host this evening.
Karm, great to see you. I'm so glad you could make it. You know, we haven't seen each other since before the pandemic. So great to see you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. And, you know, for the people that are not maybe familiar with your great work, I know it's great because I've seen it. It's actually incredible. But can you just share with us exactly what it is that you do?
I'm actually wedding photographer based here in Toronto. And we provide our service all over North America. And it's a team of loving couple, husband and wife. Yeah. And we also have a couple other photographers in our team as well.
Fantastic. And you're a couple, like husband-wife duo, wedding photographer. How did you get into photography?
For me, it was a hobby for a long time. Expensive hobby, a lot of equipment. And then after that, I should look into making some money and like sharpen my skills as well. So I joined like a Humber for more lighting classes and all that fun stuff like editing. And then I finished my school, and plus while I was at school, I started doing more freelance work as well. So yeah, like around I think 2013, I was doing more freelance work. 2014, I did like one of my friend, he asked like, okay, can you do it for me? I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did my friend's wedding, turned out really good, like everyone likes it. You build like your confidence every year, right? So around 2015, I was like, okay, I know enough now, like, so I should start my own company and start booking my own weddings as well. So yeah, since then, like couple really like our work, and since then it's going so good.
Fantastic. And you mentioned you're a husband-wife duo, right? Share with me that information about that. Like, did you both like photography before you met, or did she get into it after you met? How did all that work out?
I was doing it as a hobby. And then she was kind of like watching me, what I'm doing. And then plus she likes editing. So every time normally like when we are editing, we're together doing it. And then she started going with me on the e-shoots, and she's always like, we have a second camera, she's shooting in the background. Photography is the thing, so everyone sees it differently, right? So I see some stuff differently, and while shooting in the background, she sees it differently. When we come home, we were editing, she likes it. I told her like, okay, you can do really good. And then she starts shooting more and more. And then after that, probably like, I think last couple years, she is with me like full time.
Amazing. And so she just kind of watched what you did and then slowly got into it based on what you were doing. What a great way to like get into, you know, a profession by just watching your partner do what they do, liking it and showing interest and joining. Let me ask you this. So, you know, there's maybe other, you know, millions of photographers listening to this, of course, right? They're listening to this and they're thinking, oh my God, you know, should I be working with my wife or should I be working with my husband when it comes to photography? What are your thoughts? Should people be working with their partners when it comes to photography?
That's the best thing in our job. We're working together, and then like we see each other like hustling, right? Like we see each other right there, like, okay, like we are trying our best for that like best shot. And then plus we are together all the time. I think that's the best part.
You get to work together and just be creative together. You know, I gotta say, one of the coolest things for me watching you, I think the first time I saw you, or maybe the first few times I saw you, you'd always have like, I don't know if it was always, but at least once or twice I noticed like you'd have like matching shoes or matching like, I don't know, something else. And, and you know, was that just a one-off thing, or that I noticed? Or no, is that always like that?
We started doing that, the matching shoes the last couple of years, probably.
Okay.
Like it's a year and a half maybe, right? So
yeah.
Like 2020, I remember that was fully like we were matching shoes. I don't wanna go like normally. I think probably you notice like we always dress up in the suit, right? So I'm really comfortable, but like when I'm shooting, like I have suit. If you shoot in jean or relaxed trouser or something, like I don't feel comfortable, because it's everyone's like personal choice, right? So
yeah.
I'm a person like we like shooting that way, and then so we just need like, okay, we need to have like a little bit relaxed shoes, because with the dress shoes it's a little bit like you have to like sometimes floors are really slippery, right? So
yeah.
we're like, okay, we should get a sneaker. So then we bought like the same sneakers.
Yeah.
And then we really like it, and then that's why we matched it as well.
Yeah, I like it. So like you're saying, like I see you guys, both of you in like, you know, professional suits, or, you know, you're not walking with jeans and t-shirts, which sometimes we see vendors do. And, you know, it's not the end of the world if that happens. But you guys definitely look really professional when you come in. And then we see, look at the shoes, and you guys both have sneakers on and they're matching. And it's kind of cool, at least to me. And so, you know, it actually makes you stand out a bit. And, you know, if it's a random person like in the audience, and if they have no idea who you are, immediately they see like you're kind of matching, and it gives you like a cool vibe. So anyways, I thought I'd bring it up. I thought I'd ask, because, you know, the next time I see you in person, when we're running around doing the weddings, we may not even have time to have these type of conversations. So, you know, thanks for helping me understand that. Now, you know, this time that we're going through is so like different and weird and challenging all at the same time, because you know, at the time of filming this video, where hopefully Ontario is slowly opening up after the pandemic, hopefully, right? If things don't get crazy once again. So help me understand, you know, if there's couples that are getting married and that are watching this video and they're looking for a photographer, help me understand, or help them understand, like, what are things that a bride and couple needs to maybe consider who's getting married post-pandemic? Maybe something they didn't have to think about pre-pandemic.
Things are totally like different now, because I think like a lot of couple probably like waiting for like from 2020, so they are waiting, okay, we're not gonna get married right now, it's not right time, so we'll wait, right? So they wait for 21, and then they start waiting for 22 now, and then we are getting like as it start opening, we are getting a lot of emails for 22 now, right? Even 23 now. So a lot of those prime weeks, they are going so fast. Couples should start considering book our weekdays and the winter weddings. They're really like, okay, we are already waiting for so long, so like things are opening now, so they can look into like, okay, let's do the weekdays, because mostly we like 21 is almost like till October is almost fully packed, right? So just a couple of weddings, they moved it here and there, that's why we have like empty weeks. Other than that, it's like we are already like getting so many emails for 22 now. So I think that, yeah, so people have that option for like winter weddings. That's gonna be great.
So you're suggesting if you want to get married in the next, let's say, year, you're saying heavily consider a weekday wedding or a winter wedding. That's what you're saying, right? Because I've seen this too, right? Like when I MC at weddings, or when I'm performing magic at weddings, you know, all the weddings last year were canceled, and maybe you're seeing this too. They're all canceled, or most of them were canceled, and everybody in 2020 rather, tried to push it to 2021, and they're competing for the same dates with people in 2021, right? So everything's all jammed up, and still things are not even officially fully opened yet. So people again are starting to push forward, and it's just becoming like a ton of people competing for such limited amount of dates, right? So
this year, even like people, like couples, they are like pushed their wedding from last year to this year,
Yeah.
So they already like doing the weekdays wedding. I have some of couples, they push their reception from last year to this year. Now they push to winter. So I have like receptions happening in the winter. They already did their wedding and they're like, okay, we'll do reception in the winter.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Craziness, what a time, right? Well, that's actually just a great tip for anybody who's getting married in the next, I would say, 12 months or so, right? To heavily consider maybe a weeknight or a winter wedding. I know it's not ideal, but let me ask you a challenging question, a little bit of a difficult question, okay? Let's say I'm a groom and it's now 2021 and things are opening up for us here in Ontario, and I say, 2 years ago I was planning a wedding for 300 people, but now because of the local laws, maybe I'm only allowed 50 people at my wedding. The question is, because I'm having such a small wedding, why do I need a photographer? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really important. Let's say he's hiring us to capture his lifetime moment, capture his love, right? I think doesn't matter if it's 300 people or doesn't matter if it's 10 people there, love is still there, right? Like love and that connection in the family is still there. So he's hiring us to capture that love, that connection with the family. So it doesn't matter how many people are coming, it's still two people joining together. So that's really important to capture, make sure he has a professional there to capture that love.
Yeah, and I guess what you're saying is whether it's 2 people or 200 people or 2,000 people, having a professional capturing those photos is gonna be very different than cousin Raj taking pictures on his phone, right? That's totally fair. And I ask this, I know it's a hard question, but I ask it because I know couples are asking it. And the truth is couples are asking the question, not just to photographers, but they're also asking the same question to wedding MCs, wedding planners, they're asking the same question to DJs. And that's why I think it's an important question to ask. But I hear you when it comes to capturing those special moments. You said that you gave your reasons why they should be hiring a professional. What do I need to be careful of? Is there a checklist of things I need to consider that I need to go through when hiring a photographer? What do I need to be careful of?
Normally people like brides and groom, they're searching for their photographer. They're looking at that tiny screen, right? So like looking at the Instagram at that small screen, it's not gonna show you the quality of the picture, right? So that's really important for all the couples, right? When you kind of like shortlisted, make sure have a video call. If it's possible, come see in person, like have a look at the full wedding. You don't need like just only one picture to post on Instagram. You need like quality pictures there. So every picture you get, you should be able to print it. It means like come look at the wedding album printed, like full wedding album printed, right? So
got it.
That's really
so look
important.
at the physical prints versus just an Instagram post.
Yes.
Being able to see a quality picture printed out is very different than seeing a little tiny screen, that's 2 inches by 2 inches or whatever it is in your hand, right? So you're saying like look a little bit deeper into the quality of the images, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and that's a great way to see, the quality of the person's work. Now, you've been doing this, like you said, for like a while, and you got started, I guess, 2014, 2015. You started taking it even more and more seriously. It's been a while since that's happened. So, any crazy stories you witnessed? What is the one wildest thing that happened while you were at a wedding?
I'll share a story. It's a little bit funny, but it's kind of like making a note for bride and grooms as well. Like, okay, make sure you prepare for that as well.
So a lesson.
Yeah, it's a lesson, right? But it has a little bit fun part as well. So I was at a wedding that was around like I think 2016. So normally our couples, like after the wedding, some of them, they do like the ring ceremony. They put the ring after, right? So that's our kind of like Indian culture. They are mixing two different cultures during the ring ceremony, right? So he was kind of like going on his knee, right? So he has the ring in his pocket, like box, and then he went on his knee, and he opened that box like facing bride, but there was no ring.
Okay.
Like, at that time, like, so bride was laughing, and then he was like, he turned the box, and then he was like, oh, what happened to ring? So that's kind of like another checklist thing. So make sure like you coming to like your like party or your ceremony, make sure you have that checklist, right?
That sounds kind of crazy to me. So are you saying someone took it out as a prank or like
No, not as a
keeping?
No, not as a prank. Like in our family, like normally, let's say wedding is happening, probably one of their family, mom or dad, somebody like just kind of looking at the ring. Okay, show us the ring, right? And then like normally, like our family, they try to like whoever the family they're showing them, and then they just put it outside the box. Even there, just grab the box, put it in the pocket.
So it was just an accident, you're saying?
Yeah, it was just an accident.
Okay, so your tip here, part of the wedding checklist should be before you open the box, make sure the ring is actually in it, so you're not presenting an empty box, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. I haven't heard that happen to anyone else before, but I could. That might be a little bit embarrassing or a little bit, maybe catch the person off guard. So maybe one or two other questions for you. Any like, do you have like a favorite wedding photo, or is there a story behind maybe a favorite wedding photo that you might be able to share with us?
I think every time like I go for a wedding, it's kind of like from inside I'm pushing myself every day. Okay, let's do something different. Let's do something better than yesterday, right? When it comes to your question, like your favorite picture, I think like there's no single picture that I can say like that's my favorite. Like every picture come out of the camera, I was like, okay, this is my favorite, right? And when the next wedding, okay, this is my favorite now,
right?
So I'm like, every wedding, my picture kind of like switching, like, okay, this is my favorite now.
Well, maybe that just means your photos are getting better and better every time you shoot. It gets better, right? And so you get
how it is. Like by the time, right? So every time you're shooting, you out there, you learn something new. Like you try to push yourself every day, and then you get better and better for sure.
I totally get that. And speaking of your pictures, what I actually wanted to do now was share a few pictures with you, pictures that you've taken, and I want you to maybe take a look at them and see if you can find one word to describe these photos. Okay, so hold on, let me go ahead and share my screen with you. And I'm just gonna go over to your Instagram profile here, and I've got a few loaded already. So here's a photo, and man, this is a beautiful photo. Can you describe this photo with one word?
It gives me the connection and the love bride has from her friends, right? Like especially being in COVID right now, and then that appreciation, you gotta like, okay, like people around you are there, right? So you can say that love and the connection of the family is there.
So maybe if we have to choose one word, maybe it would be connection then?
Yes.
Connection. Okay, I like it, and I can definitely see why connection works. And again, like beautiful, beautiful picture.
And this is the funny thing, like, so what happened, like a lot of bridesmaids kind of made at a bride's house. So this picture we literally took when she was waiting for Brat to arrive in a small room in the Gurdwara. And then everybody was there. I went there. I was like, okay, bride. I asked her like, okay, we're gonna do one picture. She was like, okay, a lot of your friends were missing there. And then she was like, oh, this room looks so messy. She looked around like, that's not the right place. I was like, okay, don't worry. We'll get a picture. I know my lighting. I know what we're gonna do. And then I asked her. She was like, okay, let's do it. And then, when I showed her the picture after, she was like, oh my God, like really?
I think you just said something so powerful.
Yeah.
You being a professional in what you do, were able to pick up on, able to problem solve. So the bride said like, we can't shoot pictures in this room. It's dirty and there's stuff everywhere. Yeah. And maybe they couldn't leave the room at that moment in time.
Yeah.
But you found a way to make it work, and anybody looking at this photo has no idea that the room was, ugly or messy or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
Like when I see this photo, I just see a beautiful photo. I'm not so that's all the power to you to get creative, and maybe that's where the word creative comes from, right? In Creative Cams, of being able to work with what you have. So that's amazing. Do you know, this is obviously a South Asian bride. Do you mostly do South Asian weddings?
Most of the time. It's not like kind of I don't like doing it, but what happened, like when you start kind of posting and then you developing your website and all that stuff. Let's say I start with like Punjabi wedding more, right? And then I start posting, let's say I did 10 Punjabi wedding or like South Asian wedding. So I start posting and then people look at it. And then I think most of time, like client kind of look at it and then they start approaching you.
Right. So of course, if you post a picture like this, then other brides that are South Asian are going to see this and they can see themselves in the photo. And so of course they're going to want to book you. Great. Let's look at another one. One word to describe this photo. What do you think, Carl?
This will be shine, like
shine.
The light.
The light or shine. Yeah. And that's, I can see obviously why you picked that. Where was this photo taken?
So that was at Knox College. Knox College is really good venue to shoot though. But yeah, you should always have like kind of that end result in your mind. I don't have that arrays, like I kind of like edited it and added those sun rays. But yeah, so when you posing, when you're doing everything, you have to make sure like, okay, you have that end result already in the mind. Okay, this is the one, right? It's in my mind, so I'm shooting for this thing.
You have the result in your mind before, and then you try to create what's in your mind in the actual camera, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. And I'm sorry if we're giving away your photography location secrets. There might be other photographers, but I hope they're getting tips out of this as well.
For me, there's no secret. So this is kind of the thing, like you share and you grow. So,
right.
Yeah, so you can't grow by yourself. You need people around you to grow.
Absolutely. You learn from somebody, right? Like, and people are going to learn from you, and that's kind of like the circle of, growth, like you're implying. So let's look at another photo here. How about this one? One word to describe this. This is from 2019, before the pandemic really took off.
Yeah, that was a Sandy and a Sabi. Yeah, so I think it shows me love. That's it. The way
love?
Yeah, the way she's looking at him, right?
Okay, very cool. And one last one for you.
Well, that picture is my wife's best friend, or you can say she's like sister to her, right? So sister to me as well. And yeah, so she's a very shy person. She's not always I want a picture and stuff. And then my wife, she pushed her too much, like, okay, we're gonna do your maternity shoot. And then for that, I can say it's just an angel, right?
Obviously, beautiful picture. This is a maternity shoot, not a wedding specific shoot. So do you do like maternity shoots and things that are not weddings, or was this a one-off because it was a friend?
So we do maternity shoot as well. But yeah, glad you asked though. It's kind of like a free promotion for me. We're gonna be launching soon. My wife's gonna be launching soon. Just like maternity and newborn photography. She's gonna be doing more newborn stuff as well.
That's amazing. I wish you were doing that a year ago when I had my first newborn because we could have used your services. But that's pretty cool. So the new project is starting from your wife, Preet, and it's gonna be for maternity and newborn photography, right?
Gonna be still like both of us, but,
okay, that's really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of those projects. Now, before we go, maybe one or two last things. The entire point of this show is to help couples when they're booking for their wedding to prepare correctly and get their wedding checklists right. So is there any last, maybe either advice or any last questions that you want to give to couples that the couple should be really thinking about or asking when hiring a photographer or any wedding vendor preparing for their big day?
I think if I see as a photographer point of view, so I see like a lot of people kind of like out in the market, like complaining about not delivering on time. So that's really important, like somebody paying you, right, for their special moment, and then they're waiting for like 4 months, 5 months. And then for us, like that's the 4 to 6 weeks we give all the couples, like, okay, within 4 to 6 weeks you're gonna have your picture. And it's really important to have your pictures on time, and then you can, right, like 4 weeks and 6 weeks are fair enough time. Let's say like after the busy wedding schedule, people kind of like relax a little bit, right, or maybe go to honeymoon or somewhere, right, just relaxing. By the time they're relaxing, they have their wedding picture, right? And like for video and stuff, it's probably more longer time. It's the videographer, people can tell you better. Yeah, and these kind of stuff, like you are paying money for, and you want to make sure you have it on time.
That's such an important point. So you're saying when someone goes out to book a photographer, the question is, how long will it take to get my photos? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Because I have seen this with my own eyes, with friends and like other vendors. You're right, there are photographers that will take 6 months, and you know, I've heard horror stories working in the wedding industry. I have heard horror stories. I can think of names of people and of companies where they said you'll get it in 6 months, and then the person never got the photos, or they got, you know, they were promised photos from, you know, 3 different events, which is often the case with South Asian weddings with multiple events, and they got only 1 event, or they got like a couple of pictures and they didn't get the whole package, and then the person disappeared. Have you heard of this happening, and why do you think this happens specifically with photographers?
I think the main reason is behind that, like when you don't have a proper, you can say, the system. There are a lot of people, like they're doing probably like 5 weddings, 6 weddings same day. It's like one company, they are doing multiple weddings, right?
Okay, so they have multiple photographers going to different...
The way they want to work, right? So that's up to them. So I think like there are a lot of like companies, they are doing really good, even they are doing multiple weddings, right? I think when it comes to kind of like let's say you have a 10 photographers shooting today, right? So you are the company owner, and then you have to make sure you have this system. So you are getting all the like images, right? All the memory cards from all of them, and then backing them up, right? So it should be like at least like 3 different backups when it comes to backing up. And then I think when you have a lot of memory cards, and then it's easy to mix up, you should have a dedicated person who's doing it for you. Like, okay, I'm taking care of just for saving the data, right? Delivering the product to the, right? So it's just a kind of like, maybe I can say when people start taking shortcuts, right? Like, okay, I have 10 photographers working for me, and then I don't have anybody who can manage them. Okay, like where are the pictures and all that stuff.
There's so much I would love to dive into here as we're getting to close to the end of this call, but I think the key thing I heard in there was having those systems is key. So if you're doing multiple weddings, it can't just be like freestyle of like, yeah, you go do those photos at that wedding, you go do those, and then just send them to me over Dropbox, and you know, we'll get, like, you really need like maybe a written out system, or if it's not,
you need a system, and you need a dedicated person like who is responsible for, like for me, Preet, we are 2 of us, and then we have 2 other photographer, and then she's the one who's gonna be like stressing out for all the, okay, like we saved it, we have the second copy, and then we have it like saved here, and then we have always like it's a good tip for a photographer as well. I always have 2 cards, right, in my camera, and then we always shoot on 2 memory cards, and then one is just a copying the main card, right?
Yeah.
The second card I have, I don't take it out. It's a really, memory cards are cheap these days. It's a big memory card. It can take almost close to 20,000 pictures. So I don't delete that until I deliver. So that card stays there, right? So when I deliver it, I ask the couple everything is good to go, and then that's the time I delete from my card.
Okay, so the one card you leave in, and again, this is, like you said, a huge tip for any new photographers learning the systems like you've described. You leave one card in the camera, a huge card that can hold a lot of photos, and you just don't touch it. You leave it in the camera at all times, and you let it just keep recording until the final delivery, correct?
Yeah.
That's amazing advice. Something I wouldn't have thought of. So, Karim, thank you so much for being here today. The whole point of this project that we're doing with Wedding Checklist now is to help couples answer questions and get the right checklists and get everything in order when they're booking their events or their wedding. So if a couple wants to find you, where can they find you?
So basically, a lot of couples these days look on Instagram. So
Instagram, what's your Instagram?
Instagram is by Creative Cams, so both with the K. So K with the creative and then K Cams. And then
all one word?
Yes. So
no underscore in between, right?
Yeah, there's an underscore in between.
Do you have a website or anything that they should?
Check our website as well. That's the www.creativecams.com.
Perfect. And for us to continue doing this type of show for other people, we need to keep bringing other guests on. Is there, like, in your mind, one or two vendors which are amazing at weddings? Do you know anybody that you know that you can introduce me to? That's the cat.
So that's Stars Decor. That's a Sonica. Her name is Sonica.
Sonica from Stars Decor?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you can also check Piyush from Karma Design.
Karma Design. Okay, amazing. So I may reach out to you and get their contact. That's awesome. Now, before we go, any last words of advice?
Number one thing I was thinking during these COVID weddings, because a lot of people think it's just 10 people, right? It's a small thing. Okay, we don't need planning. We don't need this. Because it's really important to have a proper plan and proper checklist. You can always reach out to wedding coordinator if you think like, okay, it's just a small thing. We just need a day coordinate, right? So that's really important. Doesn't matter like it's a small or big, you need proper planning. So that's really important.
That's perfect, my friend. Well, thank you again for taking the time to do this. And I can't wait to get back out and do a wedding where we're both working together again. So thanks again, Karim from Creative Cams. We'll see you soon.
Thanks a lot.